Hey everyone, welcome to Area 616. Earlier this month it was revealed by Spoiler TV that The Punisher Season 2 would begin filming in late February, the specific start date being February 26th, which, wouldn't you know it, just happens to be today. So in honor of this, Marvel has also released 3 new cast members for Season 2. So with that in mind, today I'd like to go over just what we know about Season 2 of The Punisher, including cast and characters new and old, creators, and the story. So in the returning cast, we have Jon Bernthal as Frank Castle, obviously, and also Amber Rose Riva as Dina Madani, Ben Barnes as Billy Russo, and Jason R. Moore as Curtis Hoyle. Micro and his family are absent from the returning cast, but honestly, I think that's the right move on the showrunner's part. In the comics, Micro, to my knowledge, has never really been the kind of character to just appear in every issue of The Punisher. He just kind of shows up every now and then. So I think it's certainly possible we'll see Micro again someday, but I think it's a good idea not to just force him into every season, if he has no place in the story. Just earlier today, Deadline revealed 3 new actors for The Punisher Season 2, along with the characters they're playing. Josh Stewart is playing John Pilgrim, a man whose calm exterior belies a ruthless interior. Despite having left behind a life of violence, circumstances have forced him to use his old skills again, and brought him into Frank Castle's world. There is no John Pilgrim in the comics to my knowledge, but if I were to guess, I'd say this guy is probably going to be an antagonist of the season. Floriana Lima is playing Krista Dumont, a smart, driven, and compassionate psychotherapist for veterans. It seems like the show will continue to explore veterans, which is a smart move, and it'll be interesting to see a therapist try and help Frank, which is where I think this will probably go. And the last confirmed cast member, Georgia Wigham, is playing Amy Bendix, a street-smart grifter with a mysterious past. Amy Bendix is the only character of the 3 that is actually from the comics. She first appeared in Punisher Warzone issue 24. According to Comic Vine, she has a grand total of 2 appearances, but on Marvel Wikia it's listed as 4. It's pretty difficult to find any information on her. Her page on Marvel Wikia is completely blank, and on Comic Vine it's very confusing. All it says about her is, and I'm going to quote it directly here, Amy is a special girl who helped the Punisher. Then below that it elaborates a little, saying, quote, Amy saw how the Punisher left from the sewer and hid in a truck to escape from the Manhattan Tower area. She promised to the Punisher not to say anything. When they arrived in Las Ticas, she helped the Punisher to recover in her dollhouse. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Las Ticas, I'm probably mispronouncing that, is a small town in New York in the comics, obviously not a real one to my knowledge. Beyond all that, all I can really tell you is that she first appeared in a storyline called Suicide Run, though I can't really tell you what that storyline is about, it's kind of hard to find. But I can tell you that she has a father in the comics, Sheriff John Bendix, so it's possible he'll be making an appearance. I can say that the villain of the issue she appeared in was named Taylor Blackwell, and he was an agent for an anti-vigilante organization called Vigil, so perhaps that organization could make an appearance here. Early on, there was speculation, based on leaked character breakdowns, that Season 2 might adapt an extremely dark Punisher Max storyline called The Slavers. The breakdown listed Anna Beer, a street-smart teenage runaway, Kim Davis, a therapist in her 30s, and a detective named Melvin Skelling. Initially, it was rumored that these 2 roles were Viorka and Jen Cook, 2 big characters from the Slavers storyline, but based on what we've heard today, the 2 female roles listed here are most likely those of Amy Bendix and Krista Dumont. Here's a tip, by the way, it's something I've noticed. If you're ever trying to guess the identity of a character listed in a breakdown like that when they have code names, always look at the first letters of the name and surname. In this, you can see that it's Kim Davis, aka Krista Dumont, as well as Annie Beer, aka Amy Bendix. So yeah, based on this, it seems like Season 2 probably won't be a direct adaptation of The Slavers after all, which makes sense, honestly. That story would be a pretty major sidestep from season 1, at least for now. We still don't know who the detective is. My guess is that maybe it's Martin Soap. He first appeared in a rather strange supernatural Punisher story about how Frank was, I think, possessed by a demon or something. But basically, he was the head of the Punisher Task Force, an attempt by the New York Police Department to do something about the Punisher. This was formed due to pressure from the crime boss, Ma Nucci. In the comic, he's basically a loser who never really catches the Punisher. I doubt that he'd be as comedic a character in the show, but I do believe this could be who his character is. And I think we could see a story about the New York Police Department or the CIA trying to deal with the Punisher, with Soap and possibly his partner Molly von Richthofen a part of it. It's also, of course, possible that it's just an original character. Steve Lightfoot, the showrunner of Season 1, who is returning for this season, has stated some of the characters he'd love to introduce in future seasons, specifically mentioning Catherine O'Brien, a love interest-ish of the Punishers, and I say ish because it's a bit more complicated than that. Although she was an ex-wife of Rollins, the main villain of Season 1, so it would make sense to introduce her. But he also showed a particular interest in the popular Punisher Max villain, Barracuda, so it's quite possible he could appear in this as well. Overall, it's very difficult to guess just what the story will be, as there's no immediately apparent way that all of these characters connect to each other, but I do think it's very likely, especially if that character is Martin Soap, that the Nuccis will play a role in this season in some form, especially considering they were teased in Season 1. Now, before I wrap this up, I'd like to briefly speculate on when this and the other Marvel Netflix shows will come out. It looks like Netflix is beginning to fast-track production on these, which I'm very happy about. As of right now, the typical order of things is the show films for about 6 months, and then is released between 6 and 6.5 months later. So with that said, here's when I think all of the currently scheduled Marvel Netflix shows will come out. Luke Cage Season 2. It finished filming last November, so I'm fully expecting this for a June release. It'll probably be announced not long after Jessica Jones Season 2 comes out in March. Daredevil Season 3 is set to finish filming this May, so I'm pegging it for a September or October release. Iron Fist Season 2 will most likely wrap up in either May or maybe June, so I'm actually going to set that one for a December release. As for Punisher Season 2, this is actually set to finish filming in late July, so I'm actually going to peg this for a February 2019 release date. It could be in March, I suppose, but February just lines up a lot better. It'll be interesting to see how wrong or right I am, but I'm probably going to be wrong. With some of these, like Luke Cage in June, it's just hard to see where else they could possibly be. But with that said, what do you guys think? If any of you know any more about Amy Bendix or the Suicide Run storyline, feel free to share it in the comments. Do you think Melvin Skelling is actually Martin Soap? And do you have any theories on what's happening in The Punisher Season 2? Let me know all your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
How lucky can one guy be? I kissed her and she kissed me. Like the fella once said, ain't that a kick in the head?